Welcome my dear listeners, stay with me to get the spoilers first. And subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on The Young and the Restless. Sienna lies about Matt's death and Newman family walks right into a trap. The latest Young and the Restless spoiler cycle is setting up one of those classic soap twists where the truth comes in the wrong face. Sienna Bacall re-enters the Newman circle claiming Matt Clark is dead and that she killed him, but Sharon Newman immediately starts to doubt the story. Spoiler reports say that Sharon's trust issues are coming back, Sienna's loyalty is going to be questioned, and the whole thing may have to do with a secret deal that backfires on the Newmans. This feels so dangerous because the same coverage makes it clear Sienna has never been shown as Team Matt, and in fact viewers have watched her privately express plenty of disgust toward him. And that's exactly what makes Sharon's suspicion such a juicy soap opera complication. If Sienna is lying, the lie has to be based on something far greater than mere disloyalty. The story begins with the Vegas crash still fresh in everyone's mind. Matt blew up the abandoned petrol station, and the only thing that saved the Newmans was that Victor's men got them out just in time. April 29th spoiler recap confirms Matt's revenge had taken on a terrifying new level. Nick was at rock bottom after collapsing during the rescue. Sienna was left desperately worried once the smoke cleared. That's important because it means that the emotional landscape is already raw before Sienna ever walks back into the room with blood on her clothes and a dead man's story on her lips. Now just as the family has survived one catastrophe, it is faced with a second, less visible and arguably more poisonous one. The possibility that Sienna is feeding them a lie. The reason for Sharon's reaction is simple. She already knows what Sienna is capable of feeling, but she doesn't know what Sienna is capable of hiding. Matt's dead and Sienna killed him, insists Sienna, and Sharon's doubts creep in, spoilers say. The same report also says that the claim raises questions over Sienna's loyalty, which is a major blow considering Sienna has already gone through a number of hostage-type confrontations with Matt and has shown nothing but hostility towards him in private. Sharon's trust issues don't come from nowhere either. She'd been lied to, played, and blindsided enough to smell a half-truth in the air, and bloody, splattered Sienna's appearance only made the story seem more suspect. But the current spoiler article also gives us the key to understanding why Sienna might be doing exactly what she says she does not want to do. Matt forced the issue. Sienna tried to stop him before the explosion. According to the report, her feelings for Noah Newman and her concern for his loved ones caused her to make a deal with Matt, including the possibility that they could run away together if he would drop his revenge against the Newmans. Matt blew up the petrol station anyway, but the spoiler piece suggests he may have realized Victor's men got Noah, Sharon, Nick and Adam out of there and figured he needed a backup plan. That makes Sienna's later lie about his death seem less like a random con and more like the next move in a nasty negotiation. And that's where the story really gets twisted. The latest spoiler pack says Matt may have struck a deal with Sienna post-explosion. One theory is that he slit his wrists and rubbed blood on Sienna and told her to convince the Newmans he was gone for good. That same speculation is that he may have asked for a cash transfer too, especially since Victor left Sienna most of his old assets save the shadow room, which went to Noah. Matt may have promised in return to let the revenge stop and disappear without another immediate attack. And if that's what happened, Sienna's lie isn't just a lie. It's a hostage bargain disguised as a death report. So Sienna's mindset is the most important piece of the puzzle. The spoilers indicate she's a fool if she thinks Matt will really stay away, but also that she may have felt it was her only option because otherwise there was nothing to stop him from immediately launching another attack on the Newmans. That means Sienna's Matt is dead claim may not be born of secret devotion to him but of a panicked decision that the Newmans could either believe the story and get a little bit of safety or tell the truth and bring Matt back into their lives with even more fury. Her lie is then less a betrayal than a trap, which she has persuaded herself is temporary in that sense. This spoiler points to a version of the story where Sienna returns to the suite, but not to celebrate, to contain the damage. Her clothes are bloody, her nerves are frayed, and she knows Sharon's already skeptical. Noah is the first to really consider her claim because he is the one she is closest to emotionally and because she came looking for him. The room is not simply, did she kill Matt? It is, why would she think that this was the only way out? If Sienna's trying to protect Noah, then her silence is a confession in itself. She is carrying too much fear to tell the whole truth in one breath, and that makes every word she says sound like a defense thrown up in a hurry. That is why Sharon's suspicions are important. Sharon is going to question Sienna and whether she's still loyal to Matt Clark according to the spoiler report. That may seem odd on the surface because viewers have seen the venom Sienna spewed at Matt all season while he held her captive, and the same article notes that she has done nothing to suggest she secretly wants to keep him safe. But soap suspicions aren't always about what someone feels behind closed doors. They're about what you do when the room is burning. Sharon looks at Sienna's blood-stained clothes, hears the death claim, remembers Matt has already turned reality into a weapon once. That's enough to make Sharon wonder if the victory being peddled is in fact a new setup. The secret deal angle only makes Sharon's distrust more understandable. The spoiler article theory is that Matt may have realized he was out of options after the explosion and needed Sienna to carry a message that would keep the Newmans calm while he recovers or repositions. If that's true, then the fake death story isn't about closure at all. The point is to give Matt some time. It would be a false sense of security and leave the Newmans vulnerable and give Matt the chance to strike again in Genoa City when everyone has started to relax. The real disaster here is the lie might work long enough for the family to let its guard down. And that's where the story becomes a psychological trap for Sienna as much as it is for the Newmans. The spoiler speculation is that Matt may have made it a condition of their deal that if Sienna comes clean and tells anyone this was a faux demise, the deal is off and he will come after the Newmans again. That means she's not lying to protect herself. She may be lying because she thinks the alternative is worse. If she is telling the truth, Matt strikes back. Sharon and Noah could be safe for now as long as she kept the lie alive. It's the kind of decision that makes a person look guilty even when they're trying to prevent a massacre. It is also possible that Sienna really does believe she murdered him. The spoiler article specifically allows for this, suggesting it may depend on how the death happened and what happened to the body. In that version of events, Sienna isn't conspiring with Matt at all, just traumatized, confused, and believing she killed him in self-defense or in the confusion of a desperate confrontation. That's an important possibility because that completely changes the emotional tone. Instead of a woman concealing a criminal bargain, we have a woman trying to explain an event she hardly understands herself. Sharon may still think she's being lied to, but the truth may be a bit messy. Sienna may really believe the nightmare is over while Matt is very much alive. So the lie of Matt's death feels like a time bomb. The latest spoiler report warns it could create a false sense of security and leave the Newmans vulnerable when Matt finally strikes again in Genoa City. Every word Sienna speaks is dangerous. Even if she's trying to protect Noah, even if she believes Matt is truly gone, even if her motives are pure, the lie itself becomes the next snare. Sharon knows this, and that is why her doubts matter so much to the story. In a soap opera, fake deaths are never simple. The moment one character says he's dead, another character should immediately start looking for the body. What makes the whole thing particularly good soap material is that Matt is obviously not done with it. The spoiler coverage says he clearly isn't dead and will be back to wreak more havoc. Another spoilery analysis says that Roger Howarth has already filmed another round of Matt mayhem. So Sienna's lie can't go on forever, and the question is not if the truth will come out, but how badly it will burn everyone when it does. If Matt is alive, he may turn on Sienna, especially if he learns she sold the Newmans a false death story. If the Newmans find out she knew more than she let on, Sharon's suspicion will turn to anger. Either way, the lie becomes a fuse without a safe end. The best thing about that setup is that it keeps ambiguity. Sienna could be lying about Matt's death, 'cause she made a deal. Matt told her to lie. He could be lying. She could be telling the truth as she knew it, only to find out later that Matt was alive. Or she could be shielding the Newmans and Noah from another round of revenge by selling everyone on a story that's already unraveling. The spoiler package keeps all of those doors open, which makes Sharon's distrust such a strong dramatic choice. The truth is maybe right out in the open, but the effects of that truth are still all over the room. So the spoiler here is not simply Sienna lies about Matt's death. It is the story of a woman who may have been forced into a terrible bargain, a family that immediately senses something is wrong, and a villain who lives long enough to turn even his own supposed death into another weapon. It was Sharon's suspicion that warned him. The clue is Sienna's bloody return. The twist is the blood smear fake-out for Matt. And the threat of Matt not actually being dead, which hangs over everything like a cloud. The Newmans may believe they survived the fire, but if this lie takes hold, then the real explosion is yet to come. Secret schemers, broken hearts, exes play with fire. The week of May 4th to 8th on The Young and the Restless feels like one of those times when every character is having a private disaster and pretending they're okay. Nick Newman is coming out of the Las Vegas nightmare and right into the next phase of his battle with addiction. Nikki Newman is about to be devastated by what her son is going through. Jack Abbott and Nikki are about to play a dangerous jealousy game that could bleed into something real. Matt Clark is still not gone for good even after the fireball. Meanwhile, Noah, Sienna, Audra, Holden, Claire, Kane, Lily, Billy and Sally all have emotional crossroads waiting in the wings. It's a lot. And that's exactly what makes the week so charged. Nick's story is the most difficult to watch because the rescue did not fix the problem Matt created. Current spoilers have Nick possibly entering a rehab program the week of May 4th to 8th. And that means that the Las Vegas crisis is finally pushing him to confront the addiction that has haunted him. Sharon will be there for him all the way and give him one steady source of love as he fights his way through a very unsteady recovery. The emotional truth is that Nick is not only healing from the attack by Matt, but also being asked to face how much the drugs had already taken over his life. Which is why Nikki's reaction is so crucial. Spoilers show that she will be heartbroken to learn the full extent of Nick's struggles. And because she has battled alcoholism herself, she will know exactly what he is dealing with. This makes her guilt hurt more. She might have wanted to have seen the signs earlier. A mother's helplessness in a story like this becomes almost its own crisis. Nikki can't make Nick get his act together, but she can be there while he does it with professional assistance. Perhaps that pain is also what drives her to seek comfort in the last place she expected to find it. And that's where Jack Abbott comes in and the setup is deliciously dangerous. Spoilers suggest Nikki might turn to Jack for support because he's faced his own struggles with addiction and can relate to the emotional roller coaster she's going through. Jack should be there for her. And on paper it sounds like a simple friendship between two people who've been through enough to see each other's pain. But this is YNR, so the charade they're about to put on is going to make things messier, not cleaner. They're going to pretend to fall in love again just to make Victor and Diane jealous, and when exes start using chemistry as a weapon, the line between performance and reality can get very blurry. The fake romance scheme is one of the week's biggest wild cards. Nikki and Jack are working together to free their spouses, but the spoilers make it clear that the exes may start to feel real feelings bubbling back up. Diane and Victor are both the sort of people who notice when they are being manipulated, and neither is likely to react calmly if Jack and Nikki become too convincing. If the charade works, it could make Victor and Diane reevaluate what they really want. Could create a whole new round of resentment if it backfires. The risk is not merely that the plan fails. The plan is a little too successful, the risk being. Another important part of the puzzle is the chance that Nick's crisis softens the Victor-Nikki divide. The spoilers state that Victor and Nikki might at least agree on their need to do whatever it takes to get Nick's life back on track, and that shared concern might lead to a thaw between them. That's classic Newman territory. Conflict over almost everything, unity over the kids. So with Nikki leaning on Jack and Victor playing hardball with Phyllis, both may be reminded that Nick's recovery is more important than their pride. There's an irony to the story, that the collapse of the son might be what temporarily gets the parents on the same emotional page. Matt Clark is the villain you can't trust. Meanwhile, the spoilers make it obvious that he isn't gone for good, and the whole point of Sienna's claims is that they might be setting up a fake-out. The story is basically a warning that Matt may be secretly scheming and attack again when the Newmans are not paying attention. That makes Sienna's role even more complicated because her declaration that Matt is dead may not be the end of the danger at all. Could just be the silence before the next blow. The bigger the lie, the more brutal the payback when he comes back. That danger also looms over Noah and Sienna's future. The spoilers say Noah may want to focus on a new beginning with Sienna, and the two want to open a new version of the Shadow Room in Genoa City. That sounds like a new hopeful chapter for them, especially after all they have been through in Las Vegas. But the problem is clear. If Sienna is hiding the truth about Matt's survival, then the relationship is based on a lie before it even starts. Noah can't move on until he believes the nightmare is truly over. If it's not, the clean slate turns into just another setup for heartbreak. The nearest person to the crack is Audra Charles. The spoilers say she'd love to have another shot with Noah, and may continue to cozy up to him until the opportunity presents itself. That means if Sienna screws up, if the truth about Matt's survival comes out later, if Noah begins to wonder if he can trust Sienna, Audra will be waiting in the wings. We've already seen her reacting to Holden and Claire's orbit, and she has a history of seeing opportunity where other people see chaos. If Sienna screws up, Audra could be the first one to come in on Noah and make herself the safer bet. Holden and Claire are entering their own slow-burn danger zone, and the spoilers for the week of May 11th to 15th say more bonding sessions are on the way. Which means that their reunion could lead them back to the bedroom sooner rather than later. Especially now that Holden's stunning family revelation about Malcolm may allow him to connect with Claire in a way he's never connected before. Claire has learned herself that the family story is often made up of half-truths, and so she recognizes Holden's vulnerability and chooses to lean in, rather than pull away. It's not just social, it's emotional. And that's why it's important that Audra is in the Claire story. Earlier coverage suggested Audra had already eavesdropped on Holden's conversation and figured out his bombshell about Malcolm was bigger than it seemed at first. Other spoilers reveal Audra and Holden had a secret pact to keep Kyle and Claire apart, and then Audra later made it clear that their deal was off. That tells you she is not through stirring the pot even if she is no longer all in on the plan. If Holden and Claire get closer and closer, then Audra's reasons might go from sabotage to simple opportunism. She has history, she has access, and she has plenty of reasons to meddle. Kane Ashby's story offers a softer but no less vital emotional thread. Spoilers say he will further bond with Lily Winters as he continues with the last prep work before Malcolm's life-saving procedure. Once the donor match is confirmed, Lily can breathe a little easier. Meanwhile, Dr. Stephanie Simmons reassures both Lily and Kane as the reconnection continues. With every medical update, you can really feel this storyline pushing Kane and Lily back together. The procedure doesn't only save Malcolm. It also sets the emotional stage for Kane and Lily to reunite in a way that feels earned. That matters because Kane and Lily are one of the best slow-thaw stories of the week. The spoilers suggest that another kiss may be coming up, and that they will soon find themselves on the road to a reunion. It's not just about nostalgia. It's about how Kane keeps showing up when it matters. The donor match puts him one step closer to Malcolm's life-saving surgery, and the emotional proximity gives Lily a chance to see him in a new light. And as that process unfolds, the more likely it is that the old spark between Kane and Lily becomes something a lot harder to ignore. Billy and Sally might be the happiest-looking couple of the week, but there's pressure underneath the surface of their story too. The spoilers say Sally could say yes to Billy's proposal, and if she does, they could announce the engagement while keeping the pregnancy hush-hush a bit. Timing is important because they've already experienced enough chaos to make their blissful bubble feel temporary and fragile. The recap and commentary around Sally's pregnancy suggest Billy's commitment is deepening because he wants a life with her and might even be willing to show it with a ring. That means the only story this week that looks to be heading for celebration rather than crisis is theirs. What's interesting about Billy and Sally right now is that they're not just talking romance. They're talking about stability. Spoilers hint that Billy might propose to Sally and prove he's all in, and they are already talking about wedding plans even if they keep the pregnancy under wraps for a bit. That means their future is being built in layers. Baby news, engagement news, family response, and the question of how long they can keep the details private in a town where nothing stays private for long. If they do decide to share the engagement news, it will be a bright spot in a week that otherwise keeps coming back to addiction and betrayal and secrets. The week of May 4th to 8th altogether is really about how people act when they are trying to rebuild after a disaster. Nick needs treatment and a chance to get clean. Nikki needs comfort and a way to cope with her heartbreak. Jack and Nikki are playing with fire in an effort to shake up their marriages. Victor and Diane may call a temporary ceasefire, out of concern for Nick. Sienna might be hiding too much about Matt's survival. Noah is trying to build a future with too little information. Audra is ready to pounce if the opening presents itself. Holden and Claire are getting closer. Kane and Lily are heading for reunion. Sally and Billy are on their way to commitment. That's a lot of emotional weather in 1 week, and Y&R is clearly using it to set up the next round of bigger explosions. And here's the part that really lingers. Because survival doesn't mean safety, does it? What we just saw wasn't a victory, it was a warning. And maybe the Newmans don't even realize it yet. Because in my opinion, the most dangerous thing here isn't Matt Clark. It's the illusion that he's gone. And illusions in this world never stay quiet for long. There's something unsettling about how quickly everyone is trying to move on. Almost like they're afraid to look back. And that's exactly when the next hit usually comes. And let's be honest. If Victor Newman had to step in at the last second this time, what happens when he's not fast enough next time? Or worse, What if the next attack doesn't come with fire, but with something far more personal? I keep thinking about Nick Newman, because surviving the flames is one thing, but facing himself is a whole different battle, and that kind of fight doesn't have a quick rescue. So now the real question becomes, is this the beginning of Nick's recovery, or the moment everything finally starts to fall apart? And what about the bigger picture? Are the Newmans actually stronger after this, or more exposed than ever before? Because here's my prediction. This isn't the end of Matt's story. Not even close. And when he comes back, it won't be loud, it'll be calculated, and it'll hit where it hurts the most. So tell me, do you trust that this nightmare is really over? Or does something about it still feel unfinished to you? And if Matt is still out there, who do you think he targets next? And why? Because one thing is certain. The fire may be out, but the danger is just getting started. Stick with me because the next twist might change everything, and you won't want to miss how it unfolds.